6:15 in the morning, day 66, hiking the Pacific Crest Trail. Well, you can see that Utmar and I had a really nice campsite over there. We're in this big meadow, got under some trees, woke up with everything dry. Fabulous. Had my 4 packs of oatmeal and hot coffee and ready to hit the trail. It was warm last night. It took a while to be comfortable even with the sleeping bag just thrown over me. This morning I can get away with just being in the sun hoodie if I walk and keep up the body heat. So can tell we're getting to warmer areas. I hear it's supposed to be very hot in Quincy, up in the upper 90s or something, so we'll see how that goes. The water situation for today is I got some 10-mile stretches without water, so I've got half a liter with me to make it to the first water source, which is 5 miles out. But it's a beautiful morning, and this little oasis from the burn was a nice break. I understand we have to keep walking through it at least until we get to Old Station, which is about where Christy's going to pick me up day after tomorrow. So nice to see all these green trees, young trees. Fabulous. arrived at Robbers Spring, or the trail to it. It's a third of a mile down the hill, but so are all the springs in this area. So I'll take off the pack and I'll drink the water and have the food I have with me, and then we'll go get water afterwards. So they've set up a nice bench for us too. So I've made a decision to really go ahead and use Robber Spring as the spring for most of the day. It's all these springs require, you know, at least 3/10 of a mile one way downhill, and then of course back uphill to get water, and those are the only sources for the next 14-15 miles. So I'm gonna go ahead and drink what I had. I'm gonna get 2 liters here and then just use that to get the 15 miles to Soldier Creek. Soldier Creek's in a burn zone, so you can't camp there, but I understand just past there's some National Forest campground spaces. So that's the plan for today. What a beautiful little spring. So it's 9:15 and just finished a break there at Roberts Spring. It was a steep climb back up, but all the springs here are that way. So I got some food and I got most of a liter of water. Filtered 2 more. Just wanted to explain a little bit about my water strategy. Since I calculate about a liter for every 5 miles, or rather a liter every 2 hours, and the average pace is 2.5 miles per hour. So every 2 hours I take a break and drink a liter. So if it's 15 miles to Soldier Creek, there'll be a break at 5 miles and at 10 miles. And by the time I get to 15 miles, I'll be at more water. So 2 liters ought to get me there. And that'll keep me from climbing up and down any more hills. I'll just have to carry a few pounds more. But at this point, it looks like I've got one, maybe 800-foot climb, and the rest of the day is moderate. So I'm looking forward to it. Nothing for that deadfall except a hand and knees crawl underneath. Now I'm really dusty. Okay. It's 11 o'clock in the morning and we're here at Carter Creek Saddle. That means we've done about 11 miles so far, and got another 10 to go before we hit the last water source, and then a half mile after that, I think, is the targeted campsite. Boiled up some water, making some ramen, having ramen and Spam, and either a Little Debbie cookie or a big bag of M&Ms, one of the two. Trying to make sure that I keep my caloric intake high and get enough rest. It's easy in this section because you can't really get over 20 miles or you kind of screw up your entry into Lassen, where you got to go 19 miles to make it through the section of that park that requires a bear can, since I don't have one. So everything seems to be going according to plan. If tomorrow is a little less strenuous and I get there early, then I'll get some camp projects done, like gotta darn some socks and trim some fingernails and file down some calluses and things like that. So yesterday we reached a couple of goals. We passed the 1,300 mile marker, and we transitioned from the Sierra Nevada range into the Cascade range. And here in about 5.5 miles, we actually reach the monument for the halfway mark on the PCT. So that's a pretty big deal too. Looking forward to bringing that to you. We topped out the climb out to, 7,300 feet. And now we're on our way down. It's 1.5 miles to the PCT halfway marker. And I think that's where we'll stop for our next break. The halfway monument on the 1,325 miles to go. Back at the monument, I met another hiker who knew Christy and knew that I was Groovy's husband, and said to say hello to Groovy. Her name was Pika. that was interesting. So a big branch off of one of these burned pine trees just came crashing down behind me. That's the closest one that's fallen to me. I will be happy to be out of the burn zone and to avoid such things. Okay, it's 15 after 3. We've got a little over a mile to Soldier Creek, which was that 15-mile water source. And we're probably gonna drink a couple liters there and then grab a couple to head for a campsite. There's a road crossing 2 miles after Soldier Creek, and the comments say that just after that there's some national forest land you can camp on that isn't in the burn zone and isn't private land, because you can't camp on the private land, and everything between Soldier Creek and the highway, which is 6 or 7 miles, is all either private land or burned. So that looks like the target area for tonight. Big, colorful click beetle. Wow. Clumsy too. Okay, just after 4. And we've got about 2.5 miles to go before a place where we think we can camp. So at Soldier Creek there, I drank 2 liters. I was pretty thirsty, and then filtered another 2 and put them in the pack for tonight's camping. And then beyond that, it's going to be about 4 miles to water in the morning, which is pretty easy to do. So looking for this little sliver of forest land after the burnt out bridge at the next crossing of Soldier Creek in about 2 miles. We'll see how that goes. So far, the land coming down the mountain has belonged to either Kimberly-Clark, Collins Pine Company, or this section belongs to the Bacala Ranch, and I see there's a cabin down there. So this is the burnt bridge we're coming up on. There's the sign we were waiting for, although it's hard to read. You're leaving Bacala Ranch land and entering National Forest land. So in this strip here, if we can find maybe a campsite without dead trees around it, with green trees. It's like all these got touched by fire, but a lot of them have green at the top, so we'll take a look. Okay, well, I found a spot that is relatively free of these volcanic rocks that are everywhere, right by the trail. And every tree around here has at least some green on top. So shouldn't have any falling trees. Okay, I'm gonna give it a shot. Serenity Shuttle has landed. Trail mile 1,330.3. Set a 23-mile day today. Past the official halfway point of the PCT. And worked our way through miles and miles of burn zone. Just got outside the logging companies and the Bacala Ranch land onto some Forest Service land, and found a place flat enough and free of enough of volcanic rocks to pitch the tent. So this journey's been largely determined by where you can camp. It's limited. A lot of people are going into Quincy because the highway to hitch into Quincy is just a few miles up the road. I got enough food to carry on. So it's 16 miles tomorrow, a very short day, to get to the edge of Lassen Park. Well, there's 19 miles you have to hike with a bear canister if you're going to camp. So I'm going to pull up there. There's a spring. Just pull up early, do some camp chores, get a lot of rest. Then the next day I'll try to do 20 plus, and that should leave something in the teens remaining to get to Christie on the following day. Well, thanks for hiking with me today. And remember, we're doing the impossible, and that makes us mighty. When you walk through burn zones, this is what you get to look forward to cleaning up every night.